We say good morning. Welcome to JDB's Morning Cap. Today is Tuesday, April 14th, 2026. And today, playing tournament begins today. So it is a 3-day event. Today, tomorrow, and Friday. Playoffs is 4 days away. NBA path to the NBA Finals will start. The road to the NBA Finals will start in 4 days. I will say road to 16 wins. So let's say one NBA playoff team needs 16 wins to win the championship. That's the ruling. It's been that way since the playoff era started it. So we are excited that the play-in tournament begins today. So we're looking forward. We're looking forward to this afternoon. So let's get this show started. So tonight, it is a play-in tournament for 2 games. Let's see who's in action tonight. We got the Hornets hosting the Heat, 10 versus 9 matchup. Number 9 is the Hornets. Number 10 is the Heat. The game is in Charlotte, North Carolina. Tip-off begins at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. And then we got, that's the Eastern Conference play-in tournament. So let's start with that. I'm going to start with that first. So the winner will face the loser of tomorrow's game. The loser is eliminated from the playoff contention. So if you're in 10 versus 9 team, you need 2 wins to get to the playoffs to become the 8th seed in each conference. All right, so now Heat will battle the Hornets in Charlotte. So here's the question first about this game. So Hornets finished the season with a 44 and 38 record. So they finished a winning record for the first time since 2021-22 season. That's the last time the Hornets had a winning record. They were in the play-in tournament as well. They end up missing the postseason. They lost to the Hawks in the first round of the play-in tournament. They were battled for the 8th seed that season. Hopefully they'll get better results, not just today, Friday as well, to get to the playoffs, to earn the right to face the Pistons, the best team in the East. I mean, what a turnaround season for the Charlotte Hornets. LaMelo Ball, Con Knaple, Rookie of the Year candidate. Brandon Miller has been in Miles Bridges, but Brandon Miller has broke out this year. What a season for Brandon Miller out of University of Alabama. I mean, no one saw it coming. Who would have thought that Brandon Miller is having a productive season offensively? This Hornets team is legit. if they make the playoffs this year, and then if Hornets could be tops in the East next year, this team could be dangerous in the next 4 or 5 years. They can win a championship someday if that's the case. Now the future is bright in Charlotte. They finally got their wish. In the past several years, the Hornets got lax development, but this year, development wise for the Hornets has been much better. And that's why how the Hornets have won games with young development consistency. Um, I'm impressed with Charles Lee, Hornets head coach. He's done a pretty good job. Just put this young team together. I mean, their offense for the Hornets has been really, really good. And I can always tell you that. You can go through the same promise if that's the case. Maybe you really love that. But it makes the path a whole lot better. But sure it was. It would have been hard to believe, but you would have took this one in their hands. Meanwhile, for the Miami Heat, they finished the season 43-39. So Bam Adebayo had 83 points against the Wizards. On on March 10th. On March 10th, Bam Adebayo scored 83 points. On March 10th, he outright the Kobe Bryant's 81-point performance. Now, Bam Adebayo has now scored the second most points in a game in NBA history, behind Wilt Chamberlain. He had 100 points. Speaking of which, on that day yesterday, it was April 12, 2016. It was 10 years ago yesterday. Kobe Bryant scored 60 points the late Kobe Bryant has scored 60 points on his final career NBA game against the Utah Jazz. End up Lakers victorious in Los Angeles. Laker legends were there. Celebrities were there that year. Kobe's family was there. His wife and his three daughters, something like that, were there to support Kobe Bryant's final career NBA game. But for Miami Heat, it's been another up and down season. This season, it's been showing a ton of signs of inconsistency. And the defense has been a little bit inconsistent for much of the season. And the offense at times they've been great. When they win games, they score a lot of points. When they lose, they don't execute offensively. I mean, that's the reason why the Heat. I don't trust the Heat like this. So we said all this. This is a major situation to go at it. Can Heat navigate 8 against the Hornets' talented offense. I'm not sure they could. I'm not sure they can navigate themselves here if that's the case. All right, who am I picking today? Hornets or the Heat? I like Charlotte to win today. I think it's going to be a nice game. Charlotte will win over the Heat 115 to 109. I think Hornets will win today. LaMelo Ball will have a triple-double tonight. Bam Ball will have like 36 points and 12 rebounds, something like that. And then Concanable will be an X factor. He'll have 38 and 7 3-pointers. It looks like and I predict the Hornets are going to win to move on to face the loser of tomorrow's bracket. And the winner will be the 8th seed on Friday night for the Eastern Conference will earn the right to face the Pistons. All right, let's switch gears here. The Western Conference play-in tournament. It will be the number 8. It'll be number 8 seed Portland Trailblazers will take on number 7 Phoenix Suns for the Western Conference play-in tournament. This is for the 7th seed. The winner will face the Spurs on April 19th in San Antonio. So the Spurs are the number 2 seed. They'll wait the winner between the Trailblazers and the Suns. The game is in Phoenix, Arizona. So let's start with the Phoenix Suns. The Suns finished the season 45-37, a much better season than last year. Last year was a disaster with Kevin Durant and who was the head coach? Mike Budenholzer? It was Mike Budenholzer, head coach. Before that was Frank Vogel. They both won and done. Jordan Ott is the new Suns head coach. Got this team to a play-in tournament. Now our goal is to win and you're in. Plain and simple. If you beat the Blazers, you're in the playoffs. So if that's the case, then you're in a serious prime position to get to the playoffs. But we got Devin Booker, the best player on the team, and then you got Dylan Brooks, the biggest X factor for the Phoenix Suns. And then you got Jalen Green. I think Jalen Green is the X factor. But the Phoenix Suns, they're a great 3-point shooting team. They know what they're capable of, their offense. And then you got Grayson Allen. So they got some great shooters. The Suns defense is not as elite as it should be, but they got some great wings for Phoenix. I knew the Phoenix would be a play-in team coming into the season. It can surprise you. When they play well, they play well. That's the key. As for the Portland Trailblazers, Blazers finished the season 42-40. They finished the 8th seed in the Western Conference. It's been a impressive season for the Blazers, despite no Damian Lillard, despite Chauncey Billups stepped away from head coaching because of a gambling violation. Tiagalo Splitter has done a solid job as a permanent head coach. Now he could be a full-time head coach next season, it appears. This team has put collectiveness without any star power. But Denny Avia has been the biggest bright spot for them this year. Scooter Henderson started to get rolling. That is always a good sign for Portland Trailblazers. Without their star power, but their defense is pretty good. But they have their offense. Their shooting is not that great. but they're opportunistic. But I think Portland has competed really well in the high level. That's how consistent they are for the Portland Trailblazers to get to this point of the season. Something will have to help for that. You can make a path a whole lot easier. All right, so who am I picking tonight's game? Should I pick the Portland Trailblazers or should I put Phoenix Suns? Well, I'm I like Portland to get into the playoffs, not as a 7th seed yet. But I like Phoenix winning, making the playoffs. I think Phoenix will beat the Blazers. I think it's going to be a competitive game. Suns will probably beat the Blazers today, 109 to 106. I think it's going to go down to the wire. Devin Booker and Dylan Brooks will have 30 points each. Avia will have like 28 points. Henderson will have 32. But they're going to come up short in Phoenix. And Blazers will have to face the winner of the 10th seed and 9th seed game tomorrow. And then the Blazers will have to host the play-in tournament for the 8th seed on Friday if they lose tomorrow. We'll see how it goes here tonight. All right, coming up next on JDB's Morning Cap, we'll talk WrestleMania from 31 to 21. We'll talk about all that. Also coming up, we'll preview the Wolves and the Lakers. We'll preview the Wolves and the Nuggets. That should be a 7-game series. And then we'll preview the Rockets and the Lakers. We'll step away in 3 minutes. All right, welcome back. As WrestleMania is 4 days away, so we will talk the top WrestleMania matches. We'll go from 31 to 21. And so we will continue to do this. We'll start right now. All right, let's start with this. On number 31, Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns, WrestleMania 41. Remember, Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns the two former The Shield group squared off. At WrestleMania 41. And he also faced CM Punk as well. Yeah, it was CM Punk versus Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins in a triple threat match. The match was actually unbelievable because of that. We've seen several guys who Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns were former members of the Shield. They both were in an active roster in the WWE. The only guy who's not in an active roster is Jon Moxley, that's known as Dean Ambrose. Jon Moxley's in AEW wrestling right now. But the rivalry between Rollins and Reigns, it feels like it's going to be a big story. Here we've seen several matches between Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns, and now you got CM Punk. CM Punk has battled Roman Reigns. CM Punk has battled Seth Rollins. He's battled two of the three members of the Shield. He also battled with Dean Ambrose back in end of 2013. We've seen every members who can beat one of those guys like Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. Then Paul Heyman was one of those managers. Seth Rollins ended up victorious. In the WrestleMania 41 match, he beat out Roman Reigns and CM Punk in a triple threat match. Number 30, CM Punk versus Randy Orton at WrestleMania 27. Let's start with CM Punk. CM Punk was a heel at the time. He was former Straight Edge Society. He was the second new leader of Nexus. Remember, Wade Barrett was the former leader of Nexus, but CM Punk was the new leader of the new Nexus era. The new Nexus era began the end of 2010 season through all the way through June 2011. So we had a rival against Randy Orton at WrestleMania 27. CM Punk was supposed to win in 2011 Royal Rumble. He was supposed to headline WrestleMania. He was supposed to face John Cena for the WWE Championship. That would have been lovely, but now facing Randy Orton is even a better matchup. Randy Orton was a babyface at the time. When Randy Orton, remember, he punk kicked someone in the early part of 2011. There's just moments before WrestleMania. That's the problem. You would have won every single way. Randy Orton ended up being CM Punk by a RKO in the midair. Randy Orton beat CM Punk at WrestleMania 27 in Atlanta, Georgia in 2011. Number 29 was Daniel Bryan versus Triple H at WrestleMania 30. So the winner of that match will add the third member of the triple threat match between Batista versus the WWE World Heavyweight Champion Randy Orton. Daniel Bryan had a serious problem with Triple H, and I think Daniel Bryan, I know he's an underdog wrestler. We all know that. He started when he became a WWE in 2010. Daniel Bryan was The Miz's rookie. Daniel Bryan's pro was The Miz, and Daniel Bryan did not win any match at NXT. He was eliminated. He was frustrated, and then and then Daniel Bryan did something wrong. He got fired from the WWE, and then he came back and reinstated at SummerSlam in 2010 to challenge the Nexus as a member of Team WWE. John Cena was a captain of that one. And then Daniel Bryan started feuding with The Miz. once again and then become the United States champion 2010 and Night champions. He didn't win his first world title until 2011 when he cashed in the Money in the Bank on the Big Show at TLC. This is after Big Show beat Mark Henry. He already lasted 45 seconds. And then the feud actually began when Triple H pedigreed on Daniel Bryan at SummerSlam in 2013 when Randy Orton cashed in on Daniel Bryan. That's where he set him off. And then Daniel Bryan able to defeat Triple H to make sure Triple H doesn't get an opportunity to face Randy Orton and Batista in a triple threat match. That would have been a cool moment. The 3 Evolution members with a triple threat match. That would have been a great, but Daniel Bryan deserved to win that match. That was one of the biggest upsets of WrestleMania of all time. Number 28, let's stick with this. The Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar, WrestleMania 30. Brock Lesnar broke The Undertaker's 21 WrestleMania match winning streak. It was a seesaw battle between The Undertaker and Brock Lesnar. I mean, they gone kick after kick, punch after punch, chest after chest, toe after toe, but head after head. Believe it or not, you think Brock Lesnar got the best of The Undertaker at WrestleMania 30. I mean, y'all have so many battles over the years. But Paul Heyman was a manager of Brock Lesnar on his behalf. But that wouldn't be the case right there in this one. But Brock Lesnar broke The Undertaker's 21 match WrestleMania winning streak. Undertaker had one of those 2 WrestleMania losses in his career. Number 27, Eddie Guerrero versus Kurt Angle at WrestleMania 20. Eddie was a WWE champion at the time against Kurt Angle. And Eddie was also a technical wrestler as well. But if Eddie wants to lie, cheat, and steal, that would have been nice. But we talk about Kurt Angle have their problems with Eddie Guerrero throughout the 2004 year. I mean, we need someone to show a lot of character in about this one here. Eddie Guerrero able to defeat Kurt Angle to retain his WWE Championship. I mean, you think this match was incredible? It was. Number 26, Randy Orton versus The Undertaker, WrestleMania 21. It was a great age versus age match. Randy Orton was a young wrestler. Randy Orton is a young wrestler. The Undertaker was an older wrestler. But it feels like the young wrestler had advantage, but Undertaker remained undefeated at WrestleMania. Despite the fact Randy Orton actually competed really well against The Undertaker. It was a great match. It was a hard fought match between Orton and Taker. These two collide soon enough. They collided throughout the 2005 year. Randy Orton has beat The Undertaker a few times. He beat him at SummerSlam. He beat him at No Mercy. Undertaker beat Randy Orton at WrestleMania and Armageddon in 2005. So it was an even match. It was a great match. So that was number 26. Number 25, John Cena versus Triple H at WrestleMania 22 for the WWE Championship. Triple H and John Cena coming into late last year, he never met these two. These two have never met before they met when Triple H was a WWE champion. John Cena was a WWE champion at the time, and Triple H was a challenger of that match. But you would have been ready for this, but Triple H and John Cena have their intense rivals over the years. But it's really different. It's a different story. Excuse me. He has so many iconic battles over the years with anyone and they really trusted her. John Cena beat Triple H, and John Cena retained his WWE Championship at WrestleMania 22. Number 24 was John Cena versus Batista at WrestleMania 26. So they flash back at Elimination Chamber 2010. John Cena won at the Elimination Chamber in a WWE Championship match. When Vince McMahon came out and there was a trade acquisition that Batista returns to Monday Night Raw. Actually, Batista has officially became a Monday Night Raw roster, and he pinned John Cena on the Batista bomb, and Batista became the new WWE champion for the first and only time of his career. It lasted around a month, over a month. So Batista and John Cena, they've been battled time and time again. They've been battled every single time. I mean, they confront John Cena has confront Batista every single week. John Cena and Batista had an in-ring scuffle just moments before WrestleMania. And frustrations taking out of, you might as well get their money's worth. And this one, so. Number 23, Mark Henry versus The Undertaker, WrestleMania 22. The world's strongest man, Mark Henry. And it was in a casket match. The Undertaker his streak was on the line against the world's strongest man, Mark Henry. For Mark Henry, he's a Hall of Famer. He's a former world champion. He's former Olympic gold medalist. Mark is the most dominant wrestler in the WWE by far. Remember when he returned back to WWE, he took out Batista. He's trying to become the world heavyweight champion. He denied several times. And now he decided to face The Undertaker to break his WrestleMania streak. But The Undertaker rolled a casket on Mark Henry. The Undertaker ended up beating Mark Henry to remain undefeated at WrestleMania. Number 22, Undertaker versus Roman Reigns, WrestleMania 33. It was in the main event at WrestleMania 33. Roman Reigns tried to hand The Undertaker's second WrestleMania loss over the last 4 years. And Roman Reigns and The Undertaker have their issues. And Roman Reigns got the best of The Undertaker to hand The Undertaker their second loss. And then that day after WrestleMania, Roman Reigns booed loudly. And then what Roman Reigns said? "This is my yard now." And then finally, number 21, The Undertaker versus Ric Flair at WrestleMania 18. The Undertaker beat up Ric Flair's son, David Flair, in the training room. He could have said no. Ric Flair would have said no. But he decided to wrestle The Undertaker in his own hands. So, The Undertaker versus Ric Flair at WrestleMania 18. But The Undertaker beat Ric Flair despite the fact Ric Flair actually battled really well against him. So, I could apply that in this one there. All right, so we will continue the top wrestling. We'll go from 20 through 10 tomorrow as it goes here. All right, come next, we're going to preview the Wolves and the Nuggets. Also coming up, Rockets and the Lakers. We will preview all these games when we come back. All right, welcome back here at JDB's Morning Cap. We got Anthony Edwards of the Minnesota Timberwolves will take on Nikola Jokic of the Denver Nuggets. Game 1 will be in Denver, Colorado. 6 versus 3 matchup. 6 is the Minnesota Timberwolves. 3 is the Denver Nuggets. So let's talk about the Minnesota Timberwolves this season. It has been a challenging season for Minnesota. However, they finished the season 49-33. So Chris Finch, head coach of Minnesota, said, "We can still do this. Despite this season has not been pretty." But we talk about Minnesota and Denver. As far as matchups, we could see how well they could respond. And for Minnesota, this season, like I said, it hasn't been quite as kind as it was in the years past. But in the last two postseason appearances, they reached the conference finals of the West. They lost to the Mavericks in 5 games in 2023-24 playoffs. They lost last year's 2024-25 Western Conference Finals last year in 5 games against the best team in basketball, the Oklahoma City Thunder. Will this year be their year? For this is a golden opportunity when your team is in place. But on that note, think Minnesota has done some decent things in this one. What happened for Minnesota this season? They struggled in closing out games. They're struggling to take care of the basketball. They're struggling in free throws. Timberwolves are 29th in free throws percentage this season. That's been an issue all year long. So that's the reason why they're how bad this Wolves team is at the line. But Anthony Edwards has to show up and show out in the playoffs if they want to advance. Denver's not going to dominate every game in this series. Every series is going to be competitive. So if Minnesota wants to win game one in Denver, that's going to be the key. So I believe it's going to be a 7-game series. As for Denver, get to that in a minute. But Minnesota, yeah, we'll get to Minnesota. They just need to play better as a whole if they want to close out those games like that. The Timberwolves has to close out better if they want to get to that level. And that's going to be key by going forward in this one there. So we'll see how that plays out here. Meanwhile, for Denver, Denver is the team. They have a chance to. They finished the season 54-28, number 3 seed in the West. It's been an up and down season as well for Minnesota. Minnesota has been dealing a bunch of injuries this year. But it all counts. You gotta play a huge amount of confidence. But it's not the worst case scenario. It's about Denver's trust. But you already took that. Because of that, you would have done everything right. But sometimes you gotta fight through it. You gotta fight through situations. But you really done some things like Nikola Jokic when he missed a lot of games early, comes back. And got Jamal Murray in the mix. Jamal Murray has played well enough to put him in a position. He has been decent. He has been healthy most of the year. They need Jamal Murray to be healthy to stay in the mix for a championship contender. So the best case scenario for Denver is to get every point of emphasis of those games. But that's the story that you really want. It's always a big story. It's always a big difference. It's always a good thing to get things in order. But if that's the case, Denver would be will explain a whole lot of differences. And that's what really happens. And now will be that. So game one of the East of Western Conference first round will be the Wolves and the Nuggets on Saturday. This Saturday. So the game will be in Denver, Colorado, in Ball Arena. So it should be a nice game and nice series. Because Nuggets took the Clippers to 7 games and they won 4 out of 7 of those. So Nuggets, in their last 3 series, the Nuggets have gone to the distance 3 consecutive series dating back to 2024 playoffs. The Nuggets lost in 7 games against Minnesota in the semifinals in 2024. In 2025, they beat the Clippers in 7 games in the first round, lost to the Thunder in Game 7 last year in 2025 semifinals. So, do you think the Timberwolves and the Nuggets series will go to the distance this year's first round? Yes. This is the third playoff series between the Timberwolves and the Nuggets since 2019-20 season. This is the third series. No, this is the fourth series, actually. Again, remember, let's see if I'm correct. No, it was Nuggets Jazz in 2020. My mistake. This is the third series since the 2020-21 season. So here they go. Here in 2022-23 season, it was Nuggets and Timberwolves in the first round, 8 versus 1 matchup. 8 was Minnesota. 8 Minnesota, 1 Denver. Nuggets beat the Wolves in 5 games, 4 games to 1. And then number 3 seed was the Minnesota Timberwolves. Take on number 2 seed Denver Nuggets. Wolves won in 7 games in 2023-24 Western Conference semifinals. And now this year, it's 2025-2026 Western Conference first round. So we'll get the results later in the next couple of weeks. But who do I trust to win this series? Denver or Minnesota? I'm going to pick Denver Nuggets in 7 games. But who do I like to win game 1? I like Minnesota winning game 1. I think they'll set the tone. I think that doesn't mean they're going to hold Jokic in check just one game. Jokic will go off at least every single game, even in the fourth quarter. But I think Minnesota wins game 1 of the series. But I say Denver wins in 7 games. I think it's going to be a seesaw, hard-fought battle. I think some of these games are going to go to overtimes and stuff. I think several games in this series it's going to go down to the wire. Both teams have played a bunch of clutch games. Both teams have little success in clutch games, so I give Denver a slight edge. I think Nuggets will win in 7 games. In this one here. All right, coming up next on JDB's Morning Cap, we'll talk the Rockets and the Lakers 5 versus 4 matchup, and then we'll wrap things up. What's coming up in tomorrow's JDB's Morning Cap? We will step away in 2 minutes. Welcome back here. The final segment of the talk show. We're going to preview the Rockets and the Lakers. So the game will be taking place on Saturday. It'll be the 5th-seeded Houston Rockets will take on the 4th-seeded Los Angeles Lakers. The game will be at Crypto.com Arena in Los Angeles, California. Tip-off begins at 8:30 p.m. Eastern on ABC. So we got all of this one here. So Rockets, both Lakers and Rockets have been battled so much with injuries and all that stuff. But decent news that Luka Doncic could return earned in opening round of the NBA playoffs. So that is a huge news for the Lakers. They're still gonna have no Austin Reeves, but they're probably gonna have Luka Doncic. That's a huge news for the Lakers. They really need him. But the only problem is the Lakers have bounced out of the first round in each of their last 2 years. So if LeBron and Luka wants to perform well in the playoffs, they have to show up and show out. That's going to be the key. That's going to be the key for this season. Can they put them together? I mean, it's not much of a problem at all, but it's going to be a huge difference makers. They got to have huge difference makers if they want to get themselves to the NBA Finals. But the Lakers, it's been an up and down season. The Lakers' offense has been pretty good, but they struggle to shoot the ball from three. It's been that way all season long. But you wouldn't have a problem with that because it really helps that these guys are just playing and fighting things off. Something you really have to learn. But it was the best case scenario that you really to make sure you want your team to play a lot of confidence. You want to do that, right? They want to. LeBron James or Luka Doncic. But it really helps it out a little bit. But it really changes because it felt like your team is to start the winning and you would have lost it. But it's not a problem at all because it really doesn't change a whole lot. Meanwhile, for the Houston Rockets, it's been a disappointing season as far as high expectations. The expectations was high for Houston, but they end up the number 5 seed in the West. But Ime Udoka doesn't like their chances. However, this series is going to be is twice as difficult as it was. But I do like the fact that this team has showing resiliency, like Kevin Durant, Amon Thompson, Jabari Smith Jr., Afrin Sengun. I mean, despite the injuries, despite the things that have been going through it, it's something you really want to save somehow, some way. But there's a ton of things they need to get it done. It is to be a champion of their choices. But it's really like that. It's a tough world right now. You do not want to get through that in that process. But Houston Rockets, their offense at times has struggled, and and the guard play has been a problem. We've been talking about this all season long. They don't have a guard play. They just don't have a guard play right now. That's been lacking for years now. I mean, lacking all year, all season long. So besides that, they gotta do a better job making their own differences and put them their own stuff. There's a lot of things they can really mostly worry about. Is to put themselves into that mix. So maybe it doesn't help. Maybe it doesn't really help at all. It doesn't. So maybe it does improve it, but the Rockets and the Lakers. We got Kevin Durant versus LeBron James. Kevin Durant is 9-5 against LeBron James in the playoffs. Overall record. The Kevin Durant versus LeBron era in the playoffs began in 2012. They met them in the NBA Finals between the Heat and the Thunder. So let's take a look at the series wins. All four matchups have gone NBA Finals, right? Or three. I believe it's three. Three. It's three. So the first one, LeBron beat Kevin Durant in 5 games, 4 games to 1. And then in 2017, Kevin Durant got LeBron. Warriors took 4 out of 5 against the Cavs. And then in 2018 finals, Warriors swept the Cavs in the NBA Finals. So Kevin Durant is 9-5 against LeBron. Kevin Durant has 2 series wins. LeBron has 1 playoff series wins. So let's see if LeBron goes even or Kevin Durant takes 3 out of 4 against LeBron. So we'll see how that plays out here. Who am I picking this series, Lakers or the Rockets? Who am I picking game 1 of this series? Game 1, I'm going to pick the Houston Rockets, and I'm sticking with the Houston Rockets. Rockets win in 6 games. Rockets will win 1 road game in this series, and they'll win 3 home games in this series. So I think Rockets will win in 6 games against Lakers. I think the Rockets are more physical than the Lakers, despite the Lakers took 2 out of 3 in the regular season. But I think Houston has a chance to beat them here. All right, let's close it out with the show. Tomorrow we'll talk recap. We'll recap the Hornets and the Heat from tonight's game. Also, we'll recap the Suns and the Blazers from tonight's game as well. I'll recap those tomorrow. And I'll preview tomorrow's game between the Magic and the 76ers and the Clippers and the Warriors for the East and Western Conference play-in tournaments. And then I'll do Wrestlemania Tops 20 to 10 tomorrow. All that stuff. So we're just going to get ourselves ready here. In this one here. So we should be okay. All of this. So it really matters to him right now. But also the other upcoming episodes, I'll preview Raptors and the Cavs, Knicks and the Hawks. And I'll do WrestleMania Tops 10 through 1. And then I'll talk some major matches at WrestleMania later this week as WrestleMania 42 is just around the corner in Las Vegas, Nevada. It'll start from April 18th through to April 19th, 2-night event. So we're gonna see how this is go. Oh, here in this one there. All right, man. That's it. This is JDB's morning cap. We'll check you back in tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your day.